Welcome to Breaking the Chains. I'm your host, Nikita, and I have a lovely new repatriate on with me today, and I'm going to allow you to introduce yourself. Let the people know who you are.
Hello, everyone. My name is Sonjiah Davis. Everyone calls me Ajwa. And I'm from Washington, D.C. I'm a psychotherapist in private practice. So I have a practice in D.C. And then I also do life coaching and dating and relationship coaching abroad. So I currently live in Accra, Ghana. But I am from Washington, D.C., and I moved to Ghana in September. So I'm going on almost 6 months now, 6 months now. So I am here. It's been an adventure. So I'm really excited to have an opportunity to talk about my repatriation journey.
Great. So what made you decide to leave DC and all of its splendor and move to Ghana?
So I have lived all over America, basically, from West Coast to East Coast, Midwest to the South. And I've never really fit in anywhere because I traveled so much, anywhere I landed, most of the people I ended up being around had never lived outside of their state or their circle. So they had a very narrow view of life in general. So I never really, fit in any particular place. So I've always been kind of the person that stepped out and did something what most people would consider, oh, that's different. Wow. And then it's like I have a reputation of being that person. It's like, oh, yeah, do something crazy. And they're like, oh, yeah, that's Sonjiah for you. She'll do something like that. So I had probably about 5 years ago had really started thinking about moving outside the country. Like just America just was not the place for me. Like I said, I've lived everywhere. DC, I love it. It's my home. It's made me the person I am today. But with gentrification, the DC I knew is disappearing. And so it was very disheartening to watch like a place where it was chocolate city, like
Right.
Black people ran everything. We were everywhere, and I appreciated it because I had lived in other parts of the country where white people reigned,
Right.
I moved from DC, just to kind of give you an example of this. I moved from DC and I had to move to Texas for a little while. My family's from Oklahoma and Kansas. So I have had, that history of, white people being in power, right? But my family established one of the 44 Black towns in Oklahoma. So I understand power dynamics. I understand how Black people can, come up from nothing and build something and so forth. I've seen that. And then I am descendant of the Tulsa race riots. So I see how white people can come and destroy everything that we've built. So it's interesting when I hear Black people talking about, yeah, we just need to get more, get together, get our resources together and, and build these things or whatever. From my perspective, that sounds great and all, but as long as you're under white rule and them being the dominant power,
Absolutely.
You're never going to succeed because you can build it all you want, but they're going to come and destroy it.
Come and take it down.
So, so as long as you're trying to do that on white soil, under white rule, you're never going to succeed. So I just got to when I went to Texas, I had been in DC so long, so I'm like black people, whatever.
Yeah.
We run stuff, we're able to say what we want to say, we're able to be open, honest, handle things the way Black people handle things, So I went to Texas. I was there for 9 months. My first week there, I went to the grocery store. You know, when you're in the grocery store and you got your basket going one way and somebody else is coming the other way and it's kind of crowded. So you just kind of maneuver, you just kind of silently decide who's going to go first and who's going to go after.
Right.
I was in that position with a white man. And in my mind, I kind of forgot where I was. And I'm thinking, well, he's going to be a gentleman. He's going to be at least a gentleman, right? And let the lady go first. Let me go first. You know, that man took his basket. He tried to shove me all out of the way to get through. And I was about to go off. But then I realized, oh, shoot. Oh, yeah. I'm not DC. This not how they operate over here.
Wow.
It just reminded me of where I was, And then like the people in Texas, at least in the northern part of Texas, they're very complacent. They are one of the only major cities that didn't have a riot or a racial uprising. So the people are very complacent. Like they're very they still kowtow to the white people. And if I offend anybody from Texas, I'm sorry, but this is just my observation. And me coming from a predominantly Black place, like this is my observation. They don't fight. They're not fighters. They don't defend themselves. They're not assertive about their rights and so forth. And it's like it's like church, work, and a nice house and nice car, and that's life. So that's just not me as a person. I'm a fighter. I've always been in some type of civil rights. Right now, I'm a woman's advocate. So women and children. I used to work on Capitol Hill. I was, I worked in women's rights and children's health and wellness legislation. So this is who I am to my core. So if I see an injustice, I'm going to say something. So it just got to where America was wearing on me because of what I stand for. You don't have the support. Yeah. And especially for Black people, we don't have a leg to stand on. We're not going to be our greatest selves living in America. And I just couldn't continue to live in that. Right. It was so disheartening to me. Yeah. So I gave myself a 5-year plan. In that 5 years, I ended up meeting somebody and then got married. Mm-hmm. And that the whole relationship lasted a year and 11 months. So I knew marriage wasn't for me, not in the traditional sense of America. Yeah. Now, if I do an African traditional wedding and that might work, I don't know. I'm still on the fence about it right now. But I don't know the way they do it in America. Like, no, because I don't want to live with you. I get these stipulations. But anyway, so after I got divorced, I just was like, okay, I'm sticking to my plan of leaving the country. So I gave myself a year just to kind of get through, the grief and mourning of divorce. Right. And then I started traveling. So I was going everywhere. I was in Europe and Cuba, and I was just doing it. Through the Caribbean. And so my next trip was supposed to be to South Africa. Okay. And I was looking at South Africa because I went to Howard. And so I graduated from School of Social Work, and our former dean was South African. Okay. And I don't know if you're familiar with Howard, but we do what we call an alternative spring break. Right. And that's where we go, instead of doing, the stuff that normal college students do, we go to different places and we do service activities. Right. So mine, when I was in school, that's when Katrina had hit. And so we went to Louisiana, and I worked with the Public Defender's Office to try to help people who had been arrested during the time of Katrina for petty crimes and stuff like that, helping to build their defense to get them out of jail and help them get to a place where they can get work and, get back to a stable life.
Right.
So that, like I said, that's just who I am as a person. This is what I do. So
right.
South Africa we have a connection with South Africa because of our former dean. And if I had gone there, I would have had resources and people to connect to and so forth, and working in mental health.
Right.
So that's why I was kind of focused on that, and then also I could have dual citizenship. So I was planning that trip. It was the beginning of the year, 2019, and I was on Facebook. And this organization, I don't know if I can put their name out there, but they had used Facebook to promote their upcoming tour. So I hadn't heard anything about like year return or anything like that, and so they were giving information about this tour that they were having. In December. So it's like January, I was like, oh, okay. And then they had like a little payment plan. I was like, okay, cool. Let me do that. I had never even thought about Ghana as an option, but I was like, okay, let me just go there. So when I got here, it was actually, they do business information. It was a business connector tour. So I'm all about business and trying to find, opportunities, different places. I'm an entrepreneur. So I was really interested in that. So when I got on the tour, like, it was really awesome. They did a really great job. And this was their first tour. So they did a really great job. Of course, there were some kinks, things that they could have worked out a little bit. But for their first tour, and I'm bougie as I don't know what. So if I was okay with it, they did a good job. Okay.
Good.
Right. Yeah. So, and then also too, I've been told by my Ghanaian friends that I guess because I've traveled so much, I have an open mind, a very open mindset. So my expectations were not of, the American standard. And this was something that I was really upset with my co-travelers. A lot of them did not leave their American mindset behind, and they were troublesome. And I was really embarrassed at their behavior sometimes. So understand, you have to, leave that American mindset behind. You have to understand, as a clinician, we have a saying, we meet people where they are. You cannot expect people to be at a certain standard if their journey has not put them at that place. So you have to meet them where they are in order to, connect with them.
Right.
So I think you have to have that same mindset coming to Africa. Huh? Go ahead.
Right. I just wanted to interject because you said something that I would love to hear from the clinician side. We often hear people say you need to leave your American mindset in America when you're coming to, not necessarily just when you're coming to Africa, but when you're traveling, period. You kind of need to leave that mindset behind. Can you give us a little more insight on what it means to leave your American mindset behind? Because I think for a lot of people that can seem like impossible. Well, that's who I am. I'm an American, and how you expect me to leave my mindset behind? Can you tell us, like, what should that look like?
Okay. Yeah, that's a great question. One of the first things I would say is that you understand that every place is not America. They don't do things the same way. They don't have the same resources. They don't have the same materials, or, something as simple as hot water heaters, and you can attest to this. So, hot water is not like a given here, right? So you might get a place that has a hot water heater, but the majority of people don't have hot water. So this girl I knew who moved here, she was complaining because they didn't have bathtubs. Bathtubs are not standard in the bathrooms here.
Right.
And she's like, I just don't understand. Well, I said, well, you have to kind of think about it from this perspective. Hot water tanks or hot water heaters are not standard in the homes. So you're looking to have a nice hot bath, which is something that we just, are accustomed to having. That's just not a norm here.
Right.
It's not a norm. And then also too, water doesn't just run from the tap in many areas of the country. So just, you have to think about you have to think about all these little things, all these systems that are not in place, and come with an understanding that all the systems that we're used to are not in place everywhere you go.
Right. And I think people also have to understand that some of those amenities that are standard here, you're gonna pay some money for them there,
Right.
You gotta pay the extra cost to have those extra things. Cost to be the boss, as they would say.
Yes.
But
yes,
I totally agree with you on that. So you said you traveled with a group. How large was the group?
So the group, I think, if I remember correctly, it was like 54 of us.
Wow.
Traveling. I know. And that's what I was saying. Like for them, for their first trip, they did a really good job.
That's a lot of people
they had,
to cater to.
Yeah, it is. It is a lot of people to cater to. Of course, all the different personalities, the class, differences, the expectations are different, so forth. Yeah. So it's funny because now that I've moved here and I became friends with all the tour guides, they had I think 9 tour guides. It's a young couple that started the company. Okay. And then they basically just recruited their friends and maybe a few friends and then a couple of friends probably brought on another person or 2 people or whatever. So they ended up having about 9 tour guides all together. So they they split us up into groups, and it's probably maybe 7 or 8 people per tour guide, and each guide was responsible for us to help us navigate everything, like the markets, the different events that we went to. There was one guy, he knows all the bouncers at the club, so he was like in charge of nightlife, and so they really did a great job for their first tour. I just cannot even say how good they did. And I'm the type of person, whenever I go somewhere, I like to get to know people.
Right.
I want to know who you are. What's your family like? What do you do every day? You're not a tour guide all the time. So what's your real job? Well, so I took time to get to know everybody.
Good.
So by the end of the tour, it was 9 days. I was here 10 days. Mm-hmm. I knew everybody. We was all best friends. I had an adopted family. I have a whole brother now. I'm an only child, but I got a whole brother. So it's just,
I'm an only child too.
Are you? So it was just really cool. What I didn't know was that how much that was going to pay off later.
Yeah. It's great that you have that kind of attitude as far as when you're getting to know people, because that's actually a part of like African society. Like you don't just kind of jump into stuff with people. Even when it's business, they want to get to know you. Where's your family? They need to know who you are. So having that kind of attitude, I'm sure you fit right on in.
I did. I totally did. Because when I moved here, when I decided to move, so it was kind of a snap decision to move, but I was ready to move.
Right.
And I say to people all the time, if you have the inkling, the feeling that you need to do something and make a change, don't think too hard about it. Just do it. Right.
I totally agree.
Because you can easily talk yourself out of something. But I knew I could not continue to stay in America. I just could not. So when I came back that January, I was due to have surgery, and I was going to be homebound, essentially bedbound for 8 weeks.
Okay.
So I was, preparing for that. And during that time, like I had, I was keeping in contact with the friends I had made here in Ghana and so forth. And one day I woke up, girl, and I was just like sitting in my big old house, 3-story house, garage, yard. I had everything. Everything, the American dream, right? Nice luxury vehicle. I had all of it, right?
Right.
But I was sitting there and I was like, why am I staying here? Why am I putting myself through all of this, struggling financially? And my girlfriends, when we talk about this all the time, especially being single Black professional women, how it's so hard for us to date, one.
Right.
And two, it's like, even though we're professional, we make decent money, we still struggle. Like, trying to, keep up this lifestyle that we're expected to have in America.
Yeah.
Essentially killing ourselves.
Absolutely.
And I was just sitting there, and it was just like the first time I had really had time to just sit by myself and really just ponder my life, right? I was, very popular in DC. Like, I know everybody knows me. I was this young little socialite, always going. Every weekend had something. If I wasn't traveling, I was, at this party or this social event or, drinks here. That was my life. But was it really making me happy?
Right. So with that, that's, to be honest, you're the first person that I've spoken to who's been able to actually achieve what we consider the American dream. The big house, the nice cars, all the fancy friends and all the fancy parties and all of this stuff. And you wake up one day and you say, you know what? I'm not happy with this. I'm going to move to Ghana. How is that?
It sounds crazy now that you say it out loud.
It sounds insane to me because I get it. But for somebody who is watching this and saying, okay, she's got to be out of her mind. She's got to be lying. She's got to be something, because nobody is going to leave all of this great stuff in America to come to Ghana. Like, why would you do that? So what would you say to somebody who would say to you, there's no way your life was, you had all of those things and you left it all behind to come to Ghana?
It's that, remember we were just talking about that American mentality?
Yeah.
I tell people all the time, America has the best PR firm on lockdown than any other place ever that I know of.
That
has ever existed. They sell that dream.
Yeah.
They sell it so well. And see, we were born in it, and that's all we know.
Yeah.
And as I've been outside, also, it saddens me that other people have drank the Kool-Aid about the American dream too. And I'm just like, y'all don't really know what you're asking for.
Exactly.
It comes with a lot of responsibility. It comes with a lot of stress and a lot of sacrifice.
Oh, man. People don't get it. They don't get it.
They really don't get it.
What would you tell a young, let's say, Ghanaian woman who aspires that same kind of lifestyle that you was able to achieve, and just said, forget that. I'm not trying to kill myself to continue to do this.
Right.
I'll come here and actually have a quality of life, peace, less stress, all of the things that come with moving outside of America. What would you tell one of those young women?
So it's something, I talk about a lot while, as I'm here. And I noticed that a lot of the women here, I would say that Ghana is like a generation behind us in America. So as women in America, we are now understanding we don't have, not having a man is not a death sentence. Not having kids is not a death sentence. You are okay. You are fine who you are without being married and having kids. So that's something I talk to all the time. When I get my nails, the girls that do my nails or my hair or whatever, because the first thing they ask me, oh, you married, you got kids? No. And they look at me like, what? What's wrong with you? Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
I'm like, sweetie, I'm living my best life.
Okay.
And so I tell them, whatever makes you happy, really think about what makes you happy.
Yeah.
Having the latest and greatest designer clothes, the greatest, car or whatever those material things are that you're looking to have, don't bring you happiness. They give you, momentary, joy, but it doesn't bring you entire happiness. Happiness for me is being able to wake up, not having financial stress, being able to decide, you know what, I'm going to go work at the beach today.
Yeah.
Or I just want to sit on my porch and enjoy the fresh air and watch the kids play outside, something that they can't do in America anymore.
Absolutely.
So those are the things I tell women here. Like, those are the true joys in life, the simplest things. And a lot of times I let them know some of the things you guys have here, you take for granted. You don't understand the wealth that you have here.
Yeah.
Wealth does not mean you have a Louis Vuitton bag that's going to go out of style in 6 months.
Right.
And then you got to muster up the money to get the next latest and greatest.
Mm-hmm.
That is not what happiness is. And America has sold this idea that happiness comes in material goods, and it just doesn't.
Right.
I had it all.
Right.
I had it all.
So what would you say because I know the answer would be, well, you can say that because you've had it and you've done all of that. So you can say that because you make good money, and even though you're in Ghana, you probably still make really good money, and everything boils down to money.
Right.
What would you say to that?
I always say, would you rather have money or love?
Ooh.
Know that somebody in this world truly loves you and cares about you and your well-being.
Yeah. Ooh.
You can't buy that with money.
Y'all need
you
to
have
money sizzle on your spirit. They need to let that sizzle on their spirit right there, like for real.
Because the thing is, you have money, but you're going to always be questioned. Are these people around me, do they love me for me, or do they love me for what they think they can get from me?
Right.
And that's what it boils down to, basically.
Right. Dang, that's, oftentimes we have people in the repatriation community. We move to Ghana, and having certain things it seems to be frowned upon. How have you found yourself as far as your comfort level of being able to be really comfortable in Ghana as far as your living situation, and just the whole going from, nobody would know what the Potomac is, but literally like going from living in like the Potomac to living in Ghana, which is totally not a Potomac type of city.
Oh yeah. Well, so I mean, DC is definitely that. That we always say we live in a bubble. So like
Yeah.
financially, people do well. It's it encompasses the highest number of educated Black people in the country. PG County is the wealthiest Black county in the country.
Right.
And it's funny you said Potomac. I have a girlfriend who lives in Potomac. So yes. So yes, that was my life, definitely. But the funny thing is coming to Ghana, I can still have that life, but at a much less expensive rate.
Right.
But then also too, one thing that I love about it is, and it's funny, one of my colleagues, she's a therapist as well, and she moved to, I helped her kind of talk her through the process of moving. She's from Louisiana. She lives in Kenya.
Okay.
She moved to Kenya, like, I think October, November, shortly after I got to Ghana, she went to Kenya. Okay. And one of the things that, has come up is that, it's common to have house help here. It's, common to, little things that we think is luxuries in America are common here. So, one thing I love about it, I have a cook, I have a housekeeper. I see, and my cook is really, I love her because she has her daughters who help her and makes deliveries for her. So I like knowing that directly I am enriching their lives. I'm supporting her as a single mom, taking care of her daughters. And her daughters and they are so adorable. I love them so much. And they, I know that the money that I'm paying is going for their education. It's going for their, clothes on their back, roof over their head. So for me, I'm contributing to the economy and I'm helping a woman in her entrepreneurial endeavors, and so it speaks to who I am. Like I was saying earlier, I'm about women's empowerment and helping women and so forth and so forth. So I'm happy to have her cook for me because I work all the time and don't always have time to cook. And she's getting money that's, helping her beyond measure. So, I think that and I get my nails done, I get my lashes done, same stuff I did in America. One thing too, like I don't know how it is in other parts of the country, but in DC, we're very, very particular about who we spend our money with. So if there's a new restaurant, first thing we ask is who owns it? Are they Black? If they're Black, we're going to support. If they're not, I'll wait till later. Like,
it's similar here in Atlanta.
Okay, it's the same thing, and I kind of thought so, but I haven't been in Atlanta the way that I am in DC. So it's the same thing here. Who owns it? Is it a Ghanaian? Cool, we on it. Is it African American? Cool, we're on it. If it's Lebanese, Chinese, blah blah. Okay, no, we ain't doing that. That's what we're doing. So I brought that same attitude with me. So the woman that the place I go get my hair and lashes done, owned by Black women. So everything I do, I keep that same energy in supporting and making sure. So I know my dollar goes further because I make American money, but I'm making sure that it's going to the people here. And that is my contribution to the country.
Okay, you say you said you mentioned that you work a lot, which is even more of a reason to have a cook and a house assistant and people to help you out. I know a few ladies who are single, but they work a lot and they have house assistants and cooks and all of those things or whatever. Most people, their main concern about moving to Ghana is how am I going to make money?
Okay.
So how do you make money?
So that's the thing, and in our little online groups and everything, that's always like the number one question. And I tell people, It's the number one question. I tell people Ghana is not a place to come here to get a job.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the people here have trouble getting jobs, and the jobs they do have, there's almost an indentured servitude that goes on here.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate. So you got to come with a business or some type of online, job or whatever. You got to make your way. But I also encourage people to make a way where you can employ a local person.
Right. I think
so.
If each one of us is able, like, I think that because of where we come from and our history here, hiring help seems so,
yes,
massa-ish.
Yes.
We don't want to take those attitudes, and I really want people to understand how actually taking help is helping somebody.
It is.
You're helping somebody while it's really a nice trade-off when you need some help. Because like me, I have 4 children. I need help.
Nope. I don't know how you do it, girl. I don't know how you do it.
I mean, it literally, it takes a lot. It takes a lot. And it wasn't until being in West Africa and being able to hire somebody that I realized that this over here is not the move. All of this you gotta work, you gotta clean up, you gotta go shopping, you gotta do. It's so much, and it's all on us. And as Black women, that whole superwoman, I can do it all attitude, I'm so over it. I am so over it.
Totally over it.
Like,
totally over it.
Y'all can have that. So I think that when moving to Ghana, it seems that it allows us, for one, the ability to actually have a life.
It does.
I mean, because it doesn't take a person who is cooking for you or cleaning for you. It doesn't even take their entire day. So they still have the ability to go and have a life after they've done the work that you needed them to do.
Yep.
On the other hand, when we're here, somebody like me, I got to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning to get the kids up, to get them ready for school. Then I got to go to work. And by the time I get off work, the kids are already home. They need the homework done. I got to cook. I need to clean up. When do you ever have a moment to just, and I think those things, and you can help me with this as a psychotherapist, those things create this bitter, angry Black woman syndrome that a lot of us have. It's not like we just wake up and we mad. You have so much going on that you don't even know. Sometimes we don't even know if we're going or coming. And I noticed that even with single women, they have the same. It's the same thing. You single and have no children, but you still have all of this weight on you to perform in a way that, to me, it feels like they want us to be superhuman.
Yep. Definitely. Something that me and my girlfriends talk about all the time. And so I have 4 close girlfriends, and we are all the person in our family that everybody goes to. And I had a financial advisor tell me some years ago, he said, Black women are the poorest women in America. Even though we're the most educated and generally make, pretty good livings, we're the poorest.
Yeah.
Of course, financially, emotionally, and physically, health-wise,
Yep.
mental health-wise.
Yep.
Why? Because everybody comes to us for everything.
Yes.
Even being single with no children, you have family responsibility. I have a girlfriend right now. She has no responsibilities and she wants to make the move to Africa, but she can't because now both her parents are older and they both are dealing with cancer.
Gee whiz.
So she can't live her life and do what's good for her because she's got to take on this responsibility. And nobody else in their family is willing to help. She has a brother who is, has addiction issues. Half the time they don't know where he is. So these are the things that we have to deal with. Whether having, and so I'm a proponent that, don't add a man to the mix because that's just an extra child. So if you got kids, people ask me why I'm so anti, marriage to assist. I love. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
I do. I love, but it's really hard to find healthy, mentally and emotionally independent, healthy men that are not going to depend on me for everything.
Yeah.
Like I need you to be there for me to lean on. And one of the other reasons that made me make the move that I did, as I was saying earlier, I was sitting on that sofa like, why am I here? Another thing is like you dealing with the violence in the community, gunshots, helicopters flying over looking for somebody.
Yep.
The political strife, the racism, all of this, right?
So much.
It's so much. I was at my wit's end. And as a therapist, not only do I have to keep myself together, but I got between 40 to 60 other people that come to see me to help them hold it together.
They completely unload all of that stuff.
Unload everything on me. Everything on me. I was barely holding me together. I couldn't do it anymore.
Yeah.
I just couldn't do it anymore.
I can imagine you would be a much better psychotherapist in Ghana to the people that are here. Because now it doesn't feel so heavy. So you can actually help people.
Yes.
That's such an interesting thing because I believe, I'm not a doctor, you are. I believe that a lot of our issue here is the environment. Because for me personally, I'm not gonna go into a therapy session with you, but I really feel like right. I really feel like I can't be the best me when I'm here. Like it's just so much, and I find myself feeling down and depressed and all of that stuff. It's just a lot. That's a whole thing. Like being here, I realized that like for me, I can't, after you've been out of here for a while and you come back, it's virtually impossible to maintain some sense of sanity here. It's just like, oh my God. It's like it's like being a big nerve ending, just everything now that you were once used to and it was normal.
Right.
Now you realize that shit ain't normal. That's not. That's so. I want to just from your observations with people you maybe come in contact with on this journey, can you see how it's changing us in a positive or negative way at all? Can you like from a clinician point of view, can you see it?
Mm-hmm. So I would, I have to say that I can only speak to my own change. I just recently, probably in the past month and a half, came in contact with other African Americans.
Okay.
And so just so and that was a strange situation in itself, but and it just so happened I have now a group of sister friends, but two of them are going back, but they're preparing to make their way for a permanent move. And then I have another friend. She is Ghanaian, but she was raised in New York, so she has both perspectives very clear. Okay. And so but for me, I have to say, and just a quick thing, we were talking about the psychology and, the psychological impact of everything that we deal with in America. I knew I was dealing with trauma because I'm specialized in trauma.
Right.
But I didn't realize how traumatized I really was until I left. And I lived in Ethiopia for a little while before coming to Ghana. And that was my first time having an experience with the police in Ethiopia.
Okay.
Or even, outside of America. And just real quick, funny story. I can laugh about it now, but it was an eye opener for me.
Right.
I was in a car with friends, and because of Corona, the law is you can't have more than 3 people in a car. Okay. So I have a friend who owns an art gallery, and he had an accident. So he'd been moving around in a wheelchair while he was doing rehab. And then he had a driver, and then he was taking me and my other friend home. Okay. So I saw the police. We're driving. I saw the police out the corner of my eye. And then I noticed that our driver was veering over to the right when we should have been going left. And I realized, oh my gosh, we're getting pulled over by the police. So, the cop pulls up next to us, right? So what freaked me out was the driver jumps out the car. And inside, I'm like screaming, like, no, what are you doing?
Yeah.
We're gonna get killed. And so he gets out and he's talking to the police officer. He runs and he opens the trunk. So I'm really like freaking out here. These are all no-nos in America.
Can't do that.
You don't do that. So they're back there just talking. So my friend next to me, who is Ethiopian, but he is a law professor, lawyer and law professor, and he does international law. Okay. So he is very much aware of the practices in America, all of the stuff that we deal with law enforcement in America. So he's talking me through, this is how I did not scream and act crazy, because he's talking me through what was going on and translating what was, going on. So at the end, driver gets back in the car and the police officer is like telling my friend, you get well, and do what doctor says.
Yeah.
I'm like, the hell?
Yeah.
But I got home. My friend had explained everything. I got home and I broke down crying. And I still kind of feel tears about it sometimes, but I broke down crying.
Yeah.
Because in that moment, I realized, dang, I'm traumatized. I'm so traumatized.
Yeah.
I felt myself screaming inside during the whole event, but I knew I couldn't say it out loud because then I was like, okay, what if I start acting crazy? Then he's going to arrest me and then I'm going to end up in some, mental hospital in Ethiopia so I'm like going through this whole emotional roller coaster in my head.
Yeah.
Right? So, go ahead.
I don't think like Black people outside of America, they can't even fathom the trauma that we deal with. I have never been arrested. I have never been to jail. I've never been in trouble. I've never been none of those things. But When I see the police, I instantly, if I see blue lights, I get nervous. If I see a Black person pulled over by the cops, my stomach gets sick. I'm scared. The trauma is so real, and we've been dealing with this trauma. It hasn't just been since the last 10, 12 years. This is something that we have literally grown up.
We were born into this.
We were born into it. And the trauma, you're right. Like, you don't realize how traumatized you are until you experience something outside of this country.
Correct.
And with that being said, what advice could you give somebody who may be thinking about maybe making this move? What would you say to them as far as why they should probably just go ahead and do it?
I think that first and foremost, making sure that you're prepared to make the move. I always encourage people seek some mental health support. Think about so that they can help you process what you've been dealing with and why you're considering the move. And then definitely visit places first, because there's some downsides to living over here. Then we had this whole conversation yesterday, because I'm like, oh goodness, some of these folks. but just really be honest with yourself. And also too, I say, don't talk to your friends and family.
I know that's right. Because
don't talk to your friends and family, because they are not helpful. No. They are not helpful. And I'm going to say this. I always say, we talk about the black sheep in the family, right? But the black sheep is actually the person that sees through everybody else's bullshit. And because everybody else can't see it, they think that the black sheep is the oddball out, or that they just don't want to go along with the program. No, they don't want to go along with the program because they see that's some bullshit. I forgot about it. We don't take it.
You're good.
Okay. Okay. So I forgot to say I cuss sometimes. But
I do too.
Okay. So if you're that person who has it in your mind, like, something's not right, I need to get out of here, more than likely you're the black sheep in your family. So you don't want to share your vision with the rest of your people. Because they're going to have some negative things to say about it. They're going to try to convince you, manipulate you into trying to stay. They're not going to understand your vision. I lost some people I thought were really close friends. I lost them because I decided to move. So you got to be prepared for that. You got to be prepared too that this journey can be isolating.
It is.
I went through, it's exciting. It's great. You think about the new life you're going to have, but there's be prepared for the depression that sets in. I went through a couple of weeks where I was just depressed, and I stayed in the house. Like, I didn't answer any calls from people or anything. So you got to be prepared for that. Anytime you step outside of the status quo, it's a lonely journey.
Yeah, it really is. You just made me think about when I first moved to Ghana. I went through a period of probably at least a week and a half, 2 weeks, where I was so depressed.
Yeah.
And I wasn't as stressed as I was here, but I was depressed because of all of the things that you mentioned. It's like, we're taking a step. A lot of us who make this move are the oddballs in our family. And you're making a move that it's very life-changing in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
You can find yourself just feeling really lonely sometimes, because it is different.
Yep.
And you mentioned it's not always great. It's not always the best. Sometimes dealing with the cultural differences that we encounter on a regular basis.
Yep.
It's just so many different things, work ethic, all kind of stuff that comes up in this move that you can't like really calculate, and then you get there and you're glad that you've done it. You feel much better being outside of America, but then you don't get to see your family the way you like to, and you don't like. It's just so many other things that that can cause some spiraling. So I love the idea that you said that people should get some therapy before they make the move.
Yes.
That I never thought about. I never thought about it like that. I think that's great advice. What else is there anything that you're doing, any projects that you got going on that you want to let us know about, or are you still working on it and you got to keep it on the hush right now? Like, let us know what you got going on.
Well, so when I left, I said I was going to give myself 6 months to just sit and be still. Be still, adjust to the cultural differences, try to learn a little bit of the language, learn how to navigate this place, because I'm a very independent person. And like I said earlier, I had a team to help me. So my brother, he helped me get a place. He lives not too far away. He can walk around here. He has the key to my place if I need anything or whatever. So he's been, just by my side and helping me through a lot. When I first got here, I almost got scammed, but I'm a smart DC hood chick. No, I'm not hood. But, I'm streetwise because I had an uncle that was hood and, a gangster, but he a doctor now. How you go from gangster to doctor, but that's just my family.
We do that kind of
stuff. But hood will come out. Okay. So he taught me all the tricks of the trade. These dudes, he didn't get over, so they don't get over. So I dealt with that situation. It was, it was cool. Had a lady that I had met online in one of the groups who moved at the same time. She got caught up. I would try to help her out her situation, but that's another story because we could have a whole nother session talking about women and dating over here and all these scams and so on and so forth. So that was another thing. So I was, I've dealt with that, but so overall, I'm getting into my 6th month. And so now I'm starting to focus on, doing, my other things. And we kind of touched on earlier about, contributing to, the community, contributing to the country. Right. One thing that I suggest people, you hear people all the time out, I'm going to go over there and I'm going to build me a house. I'm going to buy land and I'm going to do this and do that. And I know, girl, that I'm like, whatever. But anyway, I say that the best way to use your American dollar is to invest in somebody over here who already has a great business idea and help them build that.
Yes, I totally
build with, find people who are really about doing the work, who just need a dollar to help them, fund their dream. So like I have my practice in America that does well. I'm building that to a group practice. It used to be an individual practice. Now I'm looking to hire more therapists. But I have a young lady here. She's a great photographer and videographer. And she's using a borrowed camera right now. But she has, she just needs a little education on business but she's got the talent. So I'm going to invest in her. I told her, make me a list. What kind of equipment do you need to at least just get started? And then we can buy, a new piece here and there, whatever. So we can get a whole studio going or whatever you want to do. Right. She's down, So do that. I also have a hair products company called Winter Garden Beauty. So you can look it up, wintergardenbeauty.com, winter with a Y. So it's natural hair care products. You can see my hair. It's,
We'll
11 years, 11
put a link in
years
the
of, huh?
We'll put a link in the
Okay. Yes.
description.
So thank you. And so, so I'm right now trying to, research like getting all the ingredients that I use in my products and like finding, bottling and all that stuff so I can get that on the market. And then also too, like I said, I do, dating and relationship coaching. So I had a seminar in November about dating and relationships in Ghana. So where I teach women like, do you meet somebody online? Okay, these are like the red flags. These are green flags, like let's not, we work really hard as a single Black woman in America. We work hard. We work hard for our little money, right? So it's bad enough we get taken advantage of by our own brothers in America. Don't come over here and get taken by somebody else, and just because you don't know the culture, you don't know, the ins and outs and the language and so on and so forth. That's like the girl I was telling you about a few minutes ago. She knew nothing about this country.
Yeah.
If you dropped her in the middle of a cry, she wouldn't know what to do, right? She didn't even know how to exchange money. She didn't know anything. She didn't even know she had to go renew her visa every 60 days. So she over here illegal because he'd have locked her up over in Kasawa somewhere, stole her passport, so I'm really like advocating for, women and trying to get women to understand like you need this help. The sad part is a lot of women get caught up in their relationships and think, oh no, he's wonderful, blah, 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 but not realizing he's, scamming you all along,
Right.
So it's an unfortunate truth, like I said, I love, but it's got to be right,
You gotta be
so
smart about it.
Yeah, you got to be smart about it. So I'm really focusing on that. And also Ghana is starting to look more into mental health. They just passed some mental health legislation last year. So I've done a radio show and work with more. I want to, connect with them to probably do like a weekly or regular mental health like talk or, discussion. So just being a mental health advocate, because there are mental health issues over here. Yeah. I'm telling you, these people over here, they struggling. Colonization is a bitch.
Oh my God. Thank you. Say it.
Slavery did us in, but colonization did them in. So they are struggling over here and they don't even realize why. Yeah. And and like I said, they're like a generation behind us and stuff. Yeah. So even when it comes to, we still struggle with getting people to go to therapy in America, but it's becoming more, common here. Oh no, especially because the church is everything to them. And so it's like, nope. Yeah, you just go to church and Jesus is going to take care of it. No, sis. No, Jesus ain't going to take care of it. You got some serious issues that you need to talk to a professional about. So it's, so it's really slow in coming, but yeah.
Wow. I think I'm really super excited to know that several psychologists and psychotherapists now that I know personally are, because now I'm gonna say I know you personally.
Yes.
So it is. I love the idea of you all saying, you know what, I can do a better job at my job somewhere else and help my people.
Yeah.
My daughter, she talked about going into psychotherapy at one time. And I told her, if it's not about your people, don't do it. You need to, everything we do, the focus needs to be our people. So she's been walking through here back and forth, and I think she's been listening to you also.
Okay.
I think it's absolutely beautiful to have a young Black professional woman who has also decided to make such a trip, a journey like this, which is not necessarily ideal for people who come from your demographic. Most of the women that I know who come from your demographic, they would never think about moving to Africa. So I want to thank you for just following your spirit instead of following the money and the prestige. And actually being able to recognize that I have all of this stuff and I'm not happy. So how am I going to find my happiness? And would it be fair to say that you're finding it?
Oh, yeah, definitely. It's so funny. I talk to my sister sometimes, and she's like, my sister's like one of my best friends, so I call her my sister. But she, every time I talk to her, and it's funny because she has this idea, you know, that idea that we've been fed about Africa, that it's all huts and dirt and, you know, whatever. So it's like she has to video chat with me once a week, just to make sure that I haven't, you know, gone into the, you know, the bush somewhere or whatever. So it's like I'm having to always have these conversations with her. Like, look, I'm at a restaurant. Look how beautiful it is, right. You know, or I'm at a club, or you know, I'm at the golf course. You know,
right.
But she always says, "Oh my gosh, you're just glowing. You're just glowing." You know, and I'm just like, yeah, that's because I'm so not stressed.
Yeah,
I'm so not stressed. And I'll say too, like, I have fibromyalgia. I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia and pre-lupus 3 years ago.
Okay.
And that was another issue for me, is because, I don't know if you know what fibromyalgia is, but, like, I'm in pain 24/7.
My cousin has fibromyalgia.
And okay. So the cold weather was also an impact. The stress was an impact. Like, so those were also things that kind of, made me make the decision. Here, like, I have pain every now and then, but it's not like it was in America. Like, my stress is just so minimal. Like, I think the most stressful thing I have to think about is, like, my business in America, and maybe, like, they ain't paying me, like, them insurance companies be tripping. They ain't sent my checks. Like, but, like, that is the most stress I have. But nothing here really stresses me out. Like, making discoveries about the people and how they operate. They can be a little stressful if you allow them to be, but you just have to understand where they're coming from. Like I said earlier, meet them where they are and keep it moving.
Yeah, you mentioned that before. Can you just give me an idea of what it is you are referring to when you say, like, the people and how they are?
Okay, so one of the things I'm observing, so as a therapist, I observe behavior. I'm a behaviorist. So I look at how people move. And it's interesting that, and this is one thing I can say about Americans, we don't take people for granted as badly. We think we do, but we do have some consideration for each other.
Right.
Here, they've never had to excuse themselves for existing. Oh. As Black people, we've always had to, like, be meek and humble because white people might, hurt us in some way or whatever. They haven't had that existence. So they all feel like, hey, I have the right to be here just like you do. So there's no like, excuse me, or, if you in the store and it's crowded, like, using that same example, they're not, they just push their way through. Or if you're in line, whatever, they'll just walk up and, jump in front of you. You know what I'm talking about. You laughing because you know exactly what I'm talking about. So if they were in America doing that, they might get into a fight because somebody gonna say, "What's wrong with you?" So
in personal space.
no personal space, whatever. But because I'm a behaviorist, I understand it from the perspective of they have never had to excuse themselves. They have always had or felt the right to exist and be in a space. Exactly. So there's a competition for space because everybody feels like I got the right to be here just like you do. Right. So that also kind of transfers into how they treat each other, in which they take each other for granted. And because of that, there's this sense of, I don't want to say it's competition, but it's just always just this sense of like, whatever, I'm here. Like, give me what I want right now and, and keep it moving. And so it comes off quite rude, and it comes off also just that they're not consistent. So another example, they've also, though, on the other side, and my friend who's Ghanaian but raised in New York, she pointed this out. They're raised to never say no. So what happens is someone might need something from them and they say yes. They may not even have what you need. Yeah. She gave a good example too, like you ask for direction somewhere. They're never going to say, I don't know, because that's the equivalent of saying no. They're just going to give you what they can give you. And then, you like trying to figure it out. How many times has it happened to you? So true. But it's not that they're trying to be malicious. It's just that they're trained not to say no and to be of service or be helpful. But what happens is what happens when you overextend yourself. You're saying yes to everybody. You don't end up being good at anything. You drop the balls. You drop all your balls, right? So it comes off like, just for example, I had a situation with one of my girlfriends here that's from here. And she never keeps appointments, or she forgets, or, so whatever. So I'm the type of person, see, for me, people like that, like you get cut off real quick because I put in a lot of effort into my friendships and relationships. And I am the one that reaches out. I'm the one that calls and checks in on everybody or whatever. So I need some reciprocation. So if you make an appointment with me, and I take time out of my day to make sure that I'm there for it, I need you to do the same. Yeah. So in America, if that were to happen, then we know immediately, oh, you just didn't care. So, okay, we ain't going to do nothing with you no more, right? But here, it's just that they're overextending themselves. But I'm going to have a conversation with her to help her understand from my American perspective, this is what this means. I understand from your perspective, Ghanaian perspective, this is what this means. But, in order for us to have a friendship, we got to figure out how to meet in the middle. Yeah. Or we can't have a friendship at all. So I hope that kind of, clarifies, or answers the question. Yeah. So those are the two biggest things. Also, too, the last biggest thing is they look at life from not from a place of lacks or scarcity, instead of a perspective from life from abundance. So people wonder why they're always kind of scamming or trying to get something, or there's always this exchange, or like they trying to get something from you. And they will go to any measures to get it. It's because they look at life like, oh my gosh, this is my only opportunity, or I got to eat right now, or I got to do this right now. Whereas we from America, because there's an abundance and we know there's always more, that's one positive. We look at life from like, okay, well, if I can't get it here, it's okay. So it's not the end of the world.
That's interesting. That's an interesting point of view. How would you compare that to our people here, who they have, their perspective is from a perspective of lack also, and many times desperation, as the same as there, where it's lack and desperation that's fueling them in everything that they do. Like, so for here, with that lack and desperation, you have people who sell drugs and pills and they rob and steal and, you know, do all of those things. How is it? Is it similar or is it two totally different things?
It's similar, but it's different, because the thing is the people that you just talked about are not the norm.
That's true.
Here, it's the norm.
That's true.
You see what I'm saying?
See, I'm learning. Girl, you teaching me today, honey. Okay.
Well, I guess that's why you asked me to be on here.
It is Sunday. I guess you're taking me to church, girl. But that is really... Because I'm always, you know, even though I didn't go to school for it, I am always trying to figure out, like where are people coming from? Like, I try to look at things and try to put myself in people's shoes and try to see if I can figure out, okay, like, why would you do that?
Yeah.
Like, what would make you think that was okay?
Right.
So hearing that perspective is really helping me to, like, I'm just having like a million thoughts right now about things that I've seen here, things that I've seen there, and why it's similar but it's different.
Because see, the thing is there in America, yes, you have people that sell drugs, you know, rob, steal, whatever, but they have choices. They may not think they have choices in the moment, but they have other opportunities and choices. They made a bad choice somewhere where they maybe decided to drop out of school, or, you know, or they, you know, mom died and they had to take care of the younger kids or something like that. But they could have, you know, there are resources and, you know, things in place that they could access if they wanted to.
Okay, you're right. Absolutely.
You see what I'm saying? There's choice.
Right. And
you
really don't have
you don't have that
access and things of that nature. So it would put you in more of a desperate situation.
Exactly.
And so it does lend to the idea that it's more of a widespread thing than, for instance, people here who I don't think I even know nobody who's robbed anybody or...
No, neither do I.
I know it happens, but I don't think I know anybody like that.
That's right.
But, you know, your perspective is just... I'm absolutely loving it. I would love to have you on again, because I think I done had you on here for a good little while now. Because I could probably talk to you all day, but
okay.
And it would help other people to actually see that it's more to making this move than just getting up and moving. There's a lot of healing.
It's a lot
that comes with it. And I always tell people that if you're running from something in America,
and
you're going to Africa because you're running from something,
you're going to take it right with you.
You're taking it with you. You're going to run slam into yourself. You take yourself everywhere you go.
That's
so
right.
You need to deal with you.
Yep.
So that you can have a more fulfilling life when you do make the move. Because making the move does take a lot of it off, but you still got to deal with you.
Yep. And that's why I recommend people do therapy before you make the move.
Exactly.
Because I have seen other African Americans here, and you know, because of what I do, I can just look at a person and I can tell something ain't right.
Yep.
And I looked at quite a few people, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I see you.
Mental health. There's a lot of mental health issues being carried right on over the air.
Yes. Oh, yes, there are.
I can see that, and I'm not a clinician.
You're not, there's a whole lot of stuff.
It's a lot of it, and if we want to make this a sustainable move
Mm-hmm.
for us as a community. We're gonna have to address these mental and emotional issues that we're having. And most of them stem from just the mere trauma of being in America.
It is. So it definitely is.
I want to thank you so much for joining me today. I have enjoyed every bit of talking to you. Like,
oh, well, thank you. It's been fun.
Very, very good conversation. I can't wait to have you back on again, because I gotta have you on again, especially talking about these relationships, because that comes up a lot too. So if we can get another
it does.
talk with you about the relationship side of it, that would be great.
I would love to.
Thank you.
I would definitely love to, because it's such an issue here. So yeah, definitely. Thank you for having me. This was fun. I love doing these talks.
Thank you.
Okay, awesome. Well, you enjoy the rest of your Sunday, okay?
You do the same thing, and eat some plantain chips and some mangoes and some pineapples just for me, please.
Okay, well, I can't do plantain chips, but I got the mangoes and the pineapples in there. Right. So yes, I'll do that for you. All right, you take care of yourself, dear. Okay, good to talk to you. Bye.